Perfect. Yeah, we got you. Yep, all good. Can you hear me? Perfect. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Grant Talks Funny Bits. Normally I'm on mute, but I weren't on mute because we're just sorting out some sound issues before we went live. Great guest on tonight's show. You would have heard of this guy. He's on the forums. He is out there. He is everywhere. A renowned stage hypnotist and stage hypnosis trainer, has some absolutely fantastic heritage. And we've got a really great clip from this gentleman's show in a short while as well. So rather than being a skit, we've actually got a bit from the pre-talk, the bit at the beginning of a stage hypnosis show, where any stage hypnotist will tell you this is where the show is won or lost. So guys, we've got a new sequence for today's show. So I'm going to play this opening sequence, and then on the other side of this, we will have tonight's guest, which is the one and only. And don't forget, if you want to ask questions, by all means you can do. But on the other side of this, we will have the one and only Mr. Tommy Vee. So without further ado, please bang your keyboard, make some noise for the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. Tommy Vee.
Hey.
There you are. Brilliant. Fantastic. And how are you? Which part of the States are you in at the moment? Can you hear me okay?
I can. Perfect.
Which part of America are you based?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am in New Hampshire, but I am about a half hour from Boston.
Fantastic. That's quite a cold bit of America, then, isn't it?
It is the best part.
The best part. I always put.
I'm going to attempt to put my headphones on again.
Go on then. If you go quiet, we'll know what it is.
Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you now.
Oh boy, I hope this works. Okay, this is much better for me.
Brilliant. Yeah, I always kind of put the US into two categories. There's the warm bit and the cold bit, and then that's that. So, we met quite a few years ago in Las Vegas.
We did,
which is everybody talks about Vegas, which was quite an interesting convention because at the same time that the Ultimate Stage Hypnosis convention conference was going on, you had the SHOT Show, which is the biggest gun show in the world. You also had the AVN, which is the Adult Video Network Awards.
I haven't heard of that one.
So yeah, there was some very interesting people walking about the Orleans Casino that weekend. So yeah. So for those of the people that don't know you, which I'm sure there's people that everybody knows who you are, but how long have you been a stage hypnotist? What was your introduction into the world of stage hypnosis?
I've been a stage hypnotist and clinical hypnotist for 30 years now or so. And I do both of them. It's a good combination. My introduction was that I was unemployed at the time, and my father is Jerry Valley.
Yep.
You may or may not know that. And he's a stage hypnotist, and he suggested I go into hypnosis. So I said, all right. But I thought I was too shy to go on stage. And then to make the story short, he brought me to one of his shows as a guest hypnotist in his show.
Nice.
So that became my first experience with stage hypnosis, and then I went on my own.
Brilliant. Is your dad still performing to this day?
No. He's retired at 85.
Wow.
He did a show maybe about a year ago. We did it together.
Brilliant.
We did two-man shows.
Brilliant.
But yeah, he's retired.
I remember seeing in Vegas, he's still got that presence about him, which is quite good.
Thank you. Yeah. He had good stage presence.
Oh yeah. So what skills in life, what were you doing before you became a stage hypnotist?
Okay.
Go on.
My major in college is hotel and restaurant management.
Ah.
So I was 30 years old, and I got fired from the hotel, and I was depressed. Didn't want to go back to that, and I did all sorts of things, real estate, and furniture refinishing. And then one day Dad said, become a hypnotist. I said, oh, maybe. So I didn't want to go on stage. So I learned clinical at first.
Yeah.
So I helped people stop smoking. And I learned in my father's office. I sat in the back and he worked with the client. I observed. Plus I went for training. Then that one day came, he said, why don't you come on down and see my show and you can be part of it. So that's how I got my feet wet. I came out and made the belly button disappear. Once Jerry had everybody hypnotized, he transferred the power, if you will, to me. And I took the reins over for a few experiments, and then I left the stage. So, yeah.
Do you think stage hypnosis helped or hindered your therapy practice? I know in the UK especially, there's a lot of talk about stage hypnosis kind of makes a mockery of what it is, and hypnotherapists don't like it as much. I'm a believer in one definitely helps the other, but how did that, what kind of challenges did that bring upon it?
I don't think it's a challenge at all. I've always think it works. It helps clinical hypnosis, as my dad did. And my father was always a clinical and stage hypnotist. When it's presented in a proper way, we get clients after every show. If you do a show local to where my office is, I'll pick up some clients.
Yeah.
So it works well. And plus, if I'm out of town, I will mention, please go see Grant Saunders, your local hypnotist, if you're interested in making a personal change. So I always promote that. Yeah,
I think it's one of the privileges that we have, the responsibilities we have as stage hypnosis performers, is we are the beacons. There's a lot of people that don't know about hypnotherapy until they've seen a stage hypnosis show. So we do have that responsibility to kind of push it out there in a positive way. So yeah, absolutely spot on.
It's part of my pre-talk before I invite the volunteers. I mention the clinical side of hypnosis.
Yeah,
always. Yeah.
So, so you say you've been doing it 30 years now. Within that time frame, I can imagine there's been lots of changes in how skits are delivered and the skits that you use. And I always ask people, what's the kind of the most challenging show you've had? The one where you learned the most lessons, when you kind of go, do you know what? I'm not going to do that again.
There's been a few. Looking back, when my dad first sent me out to these shows that he didn't do, they were probably smaller budget shows, a smaller attendance. I can remember going to a house party with 12 people.
Wow.
And I was very green at this, and I didn't know I couldn't do it. And there were some adults and there were some teenagers, and I did the show.
Yeah.
I've had some corporate shows that have been pretty tough. Again, when I was new at it, smaller audiences. I had to work real hard, but I always pulled off the show.
Yeah.
And Jerry taught me one thing that's important is you could always do a show with one person if you have to. So if you lose a lot of committee members and you're down to one or two, you just do the show.
Yeah.
The show must go on. Things have changed though over the years as far as being not just politically correct, but being correct out there.
Yeah.
My high school shows are squeaky clean nowadays.
Yeah.
As opposed to 20 years ago, I would do not dirty routines, but they would fly the airplane over a nudist camp and look down and things like that. So they were a little risque, but I don't even do that anymore. No. You can't.
I think audiences worldwide have moved on a little bit. I was mentioning this a couple of weeks ago that I think there's much more fascination now in the induction process as well. People are fascinated by the psychology of hypnosis in an entertaining way, whereas 20 years ago they just wanted to see their mate do something stupid. And so there's been some changes like that.
You're right, Grant. The audience likes to see the induction. And if some people are hung up on instant and rapid inductions, a lot of the audience expects some type of induction that they can watch, and they're oh, that one's going to be good. That one's not into it. They're doing all those things. Yeah. So they like the induction. Yeah.
For me, it's like stage hypnosis on television. I never think comes across as well as it does in a live show, because in TV, they try and make it too perfect. They've pre-selected all the volunteers and everything works wonderfully. On a live show, when it doesn't quite work on a person, when you see someone struggling with a suggestion, I think that makes it more real. It adds more drama to it because people are watching and going, "Oh, look, he's about to do this and he's about to do that." So I think the challenges do kind of make it better. Like I said, audiences appreciate that now. Whereas, like I said, 20 years ago, it was a case of, be rude, do whatever, and make people do daft things rather than fun things.
They used to do some crazy things back then.
Yeah, I must admit, I have a couple of videos that were on YouTube that I've just they're unlisted now, just because it's it used to get lots of hits on YouTube, but it's not right for today's audiences. So yeah. So yeah, as skits have evolved, how important do you think it is to keep routines current day to day? I know some guys are still using songs from the 70s, and other people kind of modernize that by turning them into Lady Gaga songs or something else. How important is it to keep it current?
I think it's more important at maybe a high school or college show where the kids know what's current, and I don't.
Yeah.
But it is important. If you're playing music or doing a dance routine, you're playing the waltz or something from the 50s or 40s. It's important. It's not critical, but it's pretty important to keep up with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes there's a big rush, especially online at the moment. There's a big rush for originality. And from my experience in watching some people, there's some people that haven't got the basics right and they're just trying to be original. For me, it's get a polished show, then change an ingredient and then create something original. But there's a whole thing of original over funny. And for me, an audience needs to see a funny show first and foremost.
Well, that's our number one job, is to entertain.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. We are entertainers. Our job is to make people laugh and feel good.
Not to convince the audience.
Yes.
Of hypnosis. That happens sometimes, but that's not your job. When someone calls you up, I want you to come and make my people laugh. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about the most challenging shows you've had. What is the standout show? And I'm sure you've had a few over the years. The show that you always visualize when you're kind of getting into the zone. What's your favorite show you've done over the years? The one that you tell people.
I can't pick one, but it would have to be a show that had larger audiences. And the largest audience I've been in front of is probably 1,100 people, which was an association, and it's huge. It takes a little bit of effort to control that type of group, but it's nice to have that group of people in the palm of your hand. Also, many shows at the fairs, like the Erie County Fair in New York, that my dad did for 23 years, and then I took over the last 4 years. You have 400, 500, 600 people in the audience, and they come from all over the New York area to see the show, and they pack the venue, which is outdoors. It's a lot of fun, and they're easy shows.
Yeah.
When you call for volunteers, they storm the stage. That's a good sign.
Yeah. I always know how well the show's going to go by how quickly they come onto stage.
Exactly.
If you've got to convince them, then you're going to work that night. But if you ask for volunteers and they're there, then you're like, it's easy peasy.
Yeah. It's fun. I say sometimes I'm embarrassed to take the check, but not that embarrassed.
No, I was going to say I'm never that worried about that. You mentioned there about fairs for the UK hypnotists watching. Like fairs is a big part of the American market. We tend to not have that. We've got quite a lot of restrictions here of how hypnosis can and can't be performed, as ridiculous as that is. So what are your markets? Is it fairs, high schools, grad nights? Every
hypnotist is different, but mine is I do a lot of high schools.
Yeah.
A lot of repeat work business every year after year, which is nice. The high schools I do are during the year too. Just maybe an assembly during the day. They get all the students together. I do fundraisers for them. And I also do the safe nights where they lock them in during graduation or prom so they don't drink and drive at night. Those shows are 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and they're great. And you do them from mid-April till the middle of June.
Wow.
It's hammer down, baby.
Wow.
And the money's green at 3 in the morning, just as it is at 3 in the afternoon. So I have high schools, colleges, a lot of colleges, corporate events. I do fairs. I'm pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Even campgrounds.
I must admit, I do a lot of like kind of holiday park stuff. What's the history when you said then about kind of locking them in at the high schools? What's the history behind that? Like why did they do such late nights and lock them in?
It's to keep the kids from drinking and driving.
Oh,
It was probably, they're called safe nights. So the kids after graduation or after the prom, they arrive at a designated area. It could be the high school, it could be the YMCA, it could be a fun and game center, a bowling alley, a movie theater. They arrive there and they lock them in from midnight till 5 a.m.
wow.
If they leave, they have to be picked up by a parent. There are different rules.
Yeah.
Sometimes they give them breathalyzers on the way in. So it was created. It's a drug and alcohol-free event.
Yeah.
It was created years ago by some parents, I guess, that may have lost some kids, and that's so now it's all over the country.
Yeah, I mean that's something we don't have in the UK. I must admit that the idea of doing a 3 o'clock in the morning show fills me with dread. I like to be done for 11 o'clock.
Right. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can do shows that late, then I'm sure you can piggyback shows in a night, then really, can't you?
Yeah, I've done 3 in one night, which was a lot of work.
Oh.
You know, one at 11, one at 1 in the morning, and one at 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And yeah, so lately I've been doing 1 or 2 of those a night. 3 is the most I've ever done. Some guys have probably done 4.
Wow.
But yeah, then you go to bed. You go to bed at 7 in the morning.
That's got to be draining. I know. In peak season, at the end of the week, I'm exhausted mentally from doing that. If I was doing 3-4 shows a night, I'm not going to be a happy bunny. So,
even after one show, it does drain a lot of energy. People don't understand that.
Yeah,
you're running around.
I always say Monday morning I have a hypnotic hangover, and I think it's from the adrenaline and everything that's been going around from doing the shows. Monday I have a hypnotic hangover.
Right.
But yeah,
the high is over.
Oh, exactly. And there's no better feeling than that first routine when you've got them in the palm of your hands and you know it's going to, and there's no worse feeling when it's hard work. Right. But yeah, that's a great feeling. So, COVID, it'd be remiss to not mention it. It has impacted the whole world, but it's nice to start seeing. I'm seeing a couple of guys in the US now that are posting shows. Australia, they're starting to post shows. Have you done a COVID show yet?
I did one in July.
Yeah.
But my show business has come to a stop.
Yeah.
Everything got canceled. Yeah. I haven't gotten any calls lately, although some guys and gals are getting calls for next summer for the high schools. So I did one this summer. It was at a campground. It was indoors.
Yeah.
Instead of putting the chairs next to each other, they were separated.
Yeah.
And no people leaning against each other. I didn't touch them. I didn't share my microphone with them. And it was a great show. The audience sat out in the audience and we did the show. It was fine.
I had one, a holiday park that I work with that books me quite a lot. And throughout the year, they kept kind of every month ringing up going, we're going to cancel this month. I'm like, yeah, completely understandable. And throughout the year, they've always gone, we're going to keep the Halloween show. But I expected that it was going to be cancelled. And the week before the Halloween show, expecting it to be cancelled, they rang me to kind of go, we're looking forward to Saturday night. Yep. And I kind of prepared a COVID-friendly show. And like you said, it's about keeping them separated slightly. I had a little, I say a wand, it was a paintbrush handle that I had my stage assistant kind of wiping down between each thing. It was an okay show.
Right.
But it's not a show I want to repeat, because I think sometimes the volunteers, the committee, they need a bit of a nudge. They need a bit of a touch to kind of help them get bigger and perform better. And that when they're leaning on them, when they lean on that person next to them, I think that reinforces that relaxation suggestion, and it really helps them go deeper, sort of thing. So
I agree. Yeah.
It's changed the dynamics of the show. So hopefully with the vaccine, come spring, summer, things will be back to normal. But
I think entertainment will come back like with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And venues will be packed and theaters and so on. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
It will happen though.
I think, my personal opinion, I think we'll start to see we'll get a rush for it when it first comes back, because people will be wanting to support the arts and theatres and performers. And then the economy across the world, I think we'll see a dip again. And then hopefully from that, it will go forward. But, you know, there's always good to be taken out of it. The weaker hands, the performers that don't necessarily have the training or have the skills to put on a good show, they might have given up and have a job at a supermarket now and are happy to do that, which is fine. So there might be less people out there performing. So hopefully, you know, it's, you know, things will be good.
We hope.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. So the Stage Hypnosis, the Ultimate Stage Hypnosis Conference in Vegas, where we originally met, which was a fantastic. Everybody talks about Hypno Thoughts, which is a great conference, which is a mix of everything. The Stage Hypnosis Conference was a conference just about stage hypnosis, which I personally thought was absolutely fantastic. I met up with Andy Venning from Australia. He was there. Jonathan Yeager from Texas, he was there. You know, it was a really good networking event as well. Any plans for that kind of coming out of COVID, kind of going forward?
Well, no, not yet, but we should. We did it twice.
Yeah.
And we attracted people from all over the world. And it was nice because it hadn't been done before. It was a group of, we gathered a bunch of stage hypnotists as a panel to present their gig to other hypnotists. Yeah, we should do that again. It was great. And absolutely. You got to love Vegas, right?
Oh, yeah. I had the second best steak I've ever had in my life in Vegas at Treasures.
Do you remember where it was?
At Treasures Gentlemen's Club.
Oh.
They actually sent a limo to pick us up, but it was good, dude. Yeah. But it was great because quite a few of us went down to see Justin Transi's show. Went to go see Kevin Lepine's show.
Right.
And it's great to see not just the networking. Stage hypnotists are different from hypnotherapists.
You're right.
And there's a lot of money to be made from marketing to hypnotherapists. And stage hypnotists, a lot of them tend to be lone wolves. We've got our egos, and you know, we've got our secrets, and we don't want to share it with anybody. And so to have a conference just for that, it meant that we could actually meet up with people from across the world. And it's okay for me to talk to a guy from Australia about his pre-talk and what he's doing in his marketing, and he's safe to exchange those ideas with me as well from the UK. So there's a great comfort in that. And part of the reasoning behind this live stream, again, there's lots of stuff out there for hypnotherapists and different modalities and techniques and protocols, but there's not much out there for stage hypnotists or performance hypnotists. So yeah, you should definitely put it back on again. I, for one, would promote it, and I would be over there again. Any excuse to come to Vegas, to be fair.
It was nice to be with all the other hypnotists. Yeah, and you're right. Stage hypnotists are different than clinical. There is a lot of animosity amongst stage hypnotists. I'm the best. I'm the fastest. All that. We need to all live together. Yeah. And you know what? I've been doing this a long time, and anytime I can, if I have a night off and there's a stage hypnotist in my area, I'll go see the show. Yeah. And support and to learn. Yeah. Always learning. Always.
And it amazes me. I get contacted by hypnotherapists sometimes that kind of go, I want to learn stage hypnosis. And I'm like, have you seen a stage hypnosis show? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, go see 4 shows first, then contact someone to learn how to do it. So yeah, it's stage hypnosis is such a great art form. You know, it's one of the funniest shows you'll ever see. It mixes everything: improv, stand-up comedy, hypnosis, music. It's just, and anything can happen, and generally does.
It's hard to beat a show that has audience participation in it. Yeah, a magician is funny, a singer is funny, nice, a comedian is great, but when you have audience part of the show, you can't beat that.
No, you can't. It breaks that fourth wall, and it puts the audience there. So yeah, absolutely love it. Speaking of the stage side of things, what influence do you think TikTok and YouTube and the likes of social media now, how do you think that will affect stage hypnosis going forward?
I just think it's going to help promote it. That's all.
Yeah.
It's all over YouTube. You can learn about stage hypnosis. All those routines are out there. It's good. It's good. All good.
Good. I must admit, at first, I was very against the street stuff and the TikTok hypnosis because it shows like 15 seconds of what hypnosis is, which kind of, it doesn't do as well in that sense. But doing these live streams, spoken to quite a few hypnotists, and they've all kind of gone, it promotes hypnosis. People will see that TikTok video, and then because of that, will then go and see a show. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We spoke earlier about pre-talks. We've got a clip from your hand clasp. I mean, it's only a short clip, but I think it's a really well presented hand clasp. I say induction, it's not an induction, it's part of the pre-talk. We'll play this and then we'll talk about it on the other side. But yeah, I'll put this on now.
Sure.
And do something for the audience, okay? Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I know some of you are wondering, should I try this? Because after the show, people always come up and they say, geez, my friends were up here and they're so chilled out, they're relaxed. Would you hypnotize me now? The problem is after a show like this, I'm wiped out. So I want to do an experiment with you. Many of you are familiar with this. Let's try it, okay? This is called the hand clasp experiment. So if you would, put your arms out like this. Everybody in the audience, try this. Come on. This is just for the audience. Good. Now, if you lend me the use of your imagination, as I count forward from 1 to 5, your hands will get tighter and tighter. And by the time I reach the count of 5 or sooner, your hands will lock. And they'll stay locked until I release you. But I do promise to release you because you'll never get back into your room tonight. You can't get the key in the door. Okay, so here we go. Focus on your hands. Want this to happen, let it happen, and watch it happen. Here we go. Look at the top knuckle on your hand and listen to the sound of my voice. 1. Squeeze your hands so tightly together that your palms are touching. And keep this thought in your mind. My hands are locking, my hands are locking, my hands are locking. As you squeeze them tighter and tighter and tighter together now. Keep that thought in your mind. My hands are locking real tight. On the count of 2, more pressure. Make believe that your hands are in a vise and somebody is cranking down that vise. You can feel the pressure. My hands are locking tighter and tighter. You can see the whiteness on your fingertips and knuckles. That's good. On the count of 3, more pressure. Now pretend that there's super glue all over your fingertips. Imagine your hands being 2 magnets drawn together, locking together, fusing together. On the count of 4, more pressure now, but change the word to locked in your mind. My hands are locked, tighter and tighter now. And on the next count, I release the ability that's within you to allow it to happen. On the next count, your hands remain locked so tightly together that no matter how hard you try, you cannot pull them apart. They stay locked until I release you. Right now on the count of 5. Your hands are locked tightly together. Try to pull them apart, but they stay locked. The harder you try, the more locked they become. And if your hands are locked, they stay locked until I release you. Those of you that are locked, stand up right now to be released. If your hands are locked, stand up. Let's go. Come on, help them up. And look at them. Wow. Is everybody that's locked standing? This is important because if you're not standing, you will not be released and you'll be like this forever. Okay. Here we go. Look at me. On the count of 3, I'll snap my fingers. Your hands will come apart easily and instantly. 1, 2, 3. Pull them apart. And give them.
Okay.
Yeah. A great demonstration of the hand lock. Now, the hand clasp, for me, when I first started out, was something that I'll not say feared, but I always shied away from it because the fear as a performer for me was like, they'll clasp the hands like this and then everyone's doing that. And then you go, your hands are stuck and then they'll go and then the show's over. So I never did it for years. And for years I would get people on stage and then allow the hypnosis to kind of take over. But then from experience, you learn that hand clasp, because you will know, and people watching should know, you can be hypnotized without knowing you're hypnotized. And that hand lock and that first suggestion gives that leverage for them to go, oh, something's happening. How important is the hand lock? How important is that pre-talk for getting that show right?
I can't, we don't have enough time to talk about that. It's my favorite experiment. I used to be afraid of it too. When I first started, I didn't do it. What if they don't lock? It still happens.
Yeah.
I can be in front of 100 people and nobody locks. Okay, I move on.
Yeah.
But usually it locks, and here's why I love it. I do my pre-talk. I invite people. You want to get hypnotized? Let's fill up the stage. Then do the hand clasp. Not on the people that are on stage, because if they fail, they're going to think they can't be hypnotized, but that's not true. So the ones on stage, watch what's going to happen. They get impressed. That's one of the most important things with hypnosis is impressionability. So I do it on the audience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your hands are locked. Boom. They have them stand up, and that's impressive. Yeah. When people are standing up, and someone from your own table is, oh my God, I'm locked. Then release them. Now here's the key. You explain what happens. If you locked your hands, great. If you didn't, it's okay. But if you did lock your hands, you went into hypnosis, waking hypnosis, level 2. And you would love being up here on stage. So if you locked your hands, come on up now. Yeah. So you want to add those to your already committee. Yeah. Because those people are usually going to be the stars of the show. And I can tell you right now, many times in my show, when I got down to 2 or 3 people, the star of the show out of those 3 was one that came up from the hand clasp. Yeah. And it's very impressive when you release everybody and they all go like this. And then you hear a commotion and there's still somebody locked in the back. Yeah. We love when that happens. Yeah. So then I can have them come on up here on stage. So they're walking through the audience like this. Yeah. And then you can slam them right into hypnosis on stage if you want. Yeah. It's very powerful, the experiment. And I love it. And everybody should use it. Now, one thing, the format is important. You invite people up who want to come up. Then do the hand clasp. Yeah. Some people said to me, some hypnotists, well, why don't you just, before you call for volunteers, do the hand clasp on everybody and then pick the ones that lock? Great. How about this? What if nobody locks? Yeah. What if 20 people lock and they don't want to come up? Yeah. They don't. So it's better I think it's better to do it the way I do it.
Absolutely, because you get your keen volunteers on stage first, right? So you've got if that doesn't work, you've still got these, and that's going to work. But then that person that isn't going to volunteer, but all of a sudden they're locked, you know, and they've got the peer pressure of people around them going, but Karen, you're locked. You should go on stage. It's a really great way of doing it, and such a powerful tool. And again, like we were saying earlier about it being television and it being on stage, because it's happening in the audience, it has such a greater effect because the people around it kind of see it and put that pressure on them. So yeah, absolutely. It's something that I used to shy away from, but I think it is such a profound tool and really does set that show off right.
Right. Even if you say you're at a college or university and you already have 25 people on stage, you don't want more. It's still a good idea to do the hand clasp to impress everybody. Yeah. And then, you know, you release them, you say, okay, if you locked your hands, maybe next show you can come up, you know, you don't have to invite them at that night. Yeah. But do it for the impressionability, because it impresses not only the audience, but the people behind you that are waiting to be hypnotized. They're in awe. Yeah.
And even the people that hands don't lock, what's going through their head is that they've got their hands together, they're feeling their hands getting tighter, they can feel the process working, right. And then they will do what they can to undo that process. So even if they go, oh, my hands didn't lock, they know that they only gave it 80%, and they know if they give it 100%, they would probably lock. So everybody experiences something, which is what you want the audience to do. So yeah, it's brilliant, which is why normally we show a skit, but I just thought it's such a good demonstration of the hand lock as well. Not too repetitive, really nice tone of voice, delivered really well. So fantastic. Yeah. What's your go-to, your favorite skit that you currently do?
Well, there's a couple routines or skits that we call winners. The belly button is a winner routine. Belly button, the missing belly button. Yeah. And then when I give it back to them, oh no, I gave you the wrong belly button. Now they've got the wrong belly button. Yeah. And then there's a lot of things you can go further and further and further. What do you need your belly button for? And they make up all weird things. Yeah. And I even go further before I say, when I ask you in a moment, what do you need your belly button for? You make up some weird story, not just because I always had it. So you tell them what to say. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, what do you need your belly button for? It's my phone. What do you mean your phone? So you dive into, you got to dig into,
Yeah.
don't, if somebody says, oh, I keep money in there, don't just move to the next person. Well, wait a minute. How much money?
Yeah.
Coins or bills and so on.
Yeah.
The belly button's good. The dance routine at the end is good. For years and years and years, I did the Japanese emperor routine at the end.
Yeah.
Now, I've gotten some complaints about it.
Yeah.
And there's one way to resolve it is to make it a foreign emperor.
Yeah.
Or you're from Mars or something.
Yeah.
But it was a hit every night. So I would have the person become an emperor and speak in English first, and then have them speak the same thing in Japanese.
Yeah.
Or what they thought was Japanese.
Yeah. I had a couple of incidents with the Japanese routine, and one was at a really, really posh corporate event, and one of the managers, executives had got up who was a Japanese, or from Asia anyway, and the person next to them, when they started doing the routine, it just, at that moment, it just felt wrong to me, if you know what I mean. And it was like, it was awkward. And you kind of realize, you've got to be careful. So now I kind of say your own version of the world's strangest, most exotic language.
There you go.
Exactly. Which they tend to then go into a Japanese accent anyway. And then I call them out on it and go casual racism. So it ticks that box. But yeah, some of the older routines are just funny, like just funny. So we've got Barry Foster is watching, who just says, hi guys, enjoying the gig. Barry Foster is the UK stage hypnotist who's great. He saw me die on my ass in Skegness a couple of years ago. And a great venue, really great venue. But then they had a massive refit, and they put a massive gap between the stage and the first row of the chairs. And it's just, you lose that. You lose that energy. It's
a lot of distance between there. It seems like miles.
Yeah, really well.
Barry and Natasha, I see.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say, so what's next for you? I mean, you've got your training stuff that you do. You've got your shows. You've got your therapy. Is there a hypnosis box that you've not ticked yet that you want to do?
Not really. I'm just trying to survive like everybody else right now, and hopefully doing shows again. Thank God I'm a clinical hypnotist, because that's keeping me going now. And I've been doing some trainings, some stage hypnosis trainings. I did a small group in August, and I did a one-on-one a month ago.
Oh, nice.
So I'm still available for stage hypnosis training, and I'm just looking forward to doing shows again. We're dying to get back on stage.
Yeah. My bank manager's looking forward to me getting back on stage as well. So I've put your website up a couple of times. Can people just contact you via your website for training?
They can get my website. You can contact me, email. My phone is on there. You reach out to me if you have any questions about the hand class. I'll tell you everything I know about it. I don't keep anything to myself, and sharing is good.
I think in the last 10 years especially, there is a mentality of that positivity of sharing stuff. I know there's a few guys in the UK that we sometimes exchange ideas and talk to, because doing a good stage hypnosis show is better than a bad one. So if somebody's out there doing a bad show, that will affect a good performer from doing a show, because people will go see it and go, I'm not going to bother with tickets for the next show. So it's in everybody's interest for people to help each other out.
Sure.
I always ask, Barry says, you didn't die, Grant, you completed the show. Well, exactly.
But wait, speaking of that, though, this happens a lot, and you probably can agree. After doing hundreds of shows, I'll come off a stage of a show that I thought was okay, or maybe I want to get out of here. So I grab my stuff, grab my coat, get my assistant. I go, let's get the hell out of here. That sucked. And as you're walking through the audience, past the attendees, the audience members, people are coming up to you saying, that was fantastic. And that was great. And this and that. That's because they've never seen it before. And we are comparing it to our best shows. So we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah. And I think that's especially in the UK, because the market's always been quite hard here in the UK. We have a lot of guys that learn it, do a training course with whoever,
Yep.
come out with loads of confidence, do a handful of shows, and then they hit that first bad show. And then they have another bad show, and it gets in the head and it stops them from pushing forward with it. And it's exactly what you said. You judge your shows by the standard of your average show.
Right.
And when your average show goes up, you judge it by that standard. And sometimes you do a show, and I'll always admit to my bad shows. You do a show and it doesn't hit the mark, and you come away feeling like, what was it? What could I have done? What was this? What was that? And you've got to have another hypnotist or someone that you can sound that out on. And like Barry's just said, then you completed the show, and it helps you kind of, put it in perspective a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I always ask guests about 2 books that have been a big influence on either their performing career or their business career. If you were to recommend a book or 2 books to any budding hypnotherapist or stage hypnotist watching this show, what would it be?
Well, Jerry Valley wrote a book that many, 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 many people have read. It's called The Inside Secrets of Stage Hypnotism. It's a beautiful book, contains 3 of the shows. It's nuts and bolts, real easy to read, and you can learn about stage hypnosis. Other books, Dave Ellman's Hypnotherapy. Yeah. It's kind of a Bible for hypnotherapy. So that's a good book.
Yeah.
Read Jerry's book. It's an awesome read too.
Yeah. Is it available on Amazon?
I think it is through me. I think, or it's on my website, but I think I have it on Amazon. I think. Well, it's like $25, $30, and it's pretty good.
Brilliant. Well, I shall find a link to it and put a link up in the comment section and in the description on YouTube as well.
Okay. Awesome. This will be on YouTube, on your YouTube channel.
Yes. It'll be on YouTube. I'll send you the link to it as well. But I stream to both of them now because YouTube is where it's at apparently. If you were to give one tip to any budding stage hypnotist, or a tip that you would give them to yourself when you were starting out, what would it be?
Well, believe that you can do it. Stage hypnosis works. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind every night after 30 years when strangers come up on stage and boom, they go into, I don't even know these people.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe. So get it in your mind that, it will work. You need to learn a formula.
Yeah.
And the most important, and I lecture on this, the most important part of your show, in my mind, is the pre-talk.
Yeah.
Before you call, that's more important than your induction, and more important than the routines.
Yeah.
You got to. I think the 2 biggest fears of a stage hypnotist are: what if nobody comes up, and what if they don't go into hypnosis? So the pre-talk is critical.
Yeah.
And if it's a college show with 900 kids in the audience, you can cut it real short.
Yeah.
If it's a corporate show with 40 people and they got shirts and ties on, I'm going to stretch it out, talk about golf and stretch. So that's when they decide whether you know what you're talking about. They decide if they're going to volunteer, whether they trust you, all of that. That's the most important part. So polish that real good. I
did a show in Sheffield in the north of England. The local university had built this new building, and there was like a restaurant at the penthouse of the building. Before they opened to the public, the solicitors and architects involved in this were having a VIP opening night, and they booked me as entertainment. Everything was going well. There's a great atmosphere going, but where the stage was, there was a pillar, a really wide pillar in the center of the stage. Now, for me, I always speak my mind. So it's going well. The suggestibility tests are going well. There's great rapport with the whole audience. It's a good pre-talk. And then I kind of go to play to their egos because I think I've got them. Oh, you were the guys that designed this wonderful restaurant. And they're like, oh, yes. I went, whose bright idea was this pillar then? Which I thought would get a laugh.
No.
Oh, lost them all completely. Room went silent. Heard some old lady kind of go, how rude. And then there was no volunteers, no one wanting to join the show. It was just like, so that was where you lose a pre-talk halfway through, and there is no recovery from that whatsoever.
Don't irritate the audience.
Oh, exactly. It was one of those. I think I'd been on a run of shows, and I was just cocky. and that was the show that just put me
So
straight back
what
down
was
to
the
earth
I-
again.
what was the idea of that pillar in the middle?
They never told me, but you could tell it was a definite sore point within the people in the room. Who puts a pillar at the front of a stage area?
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. Right, well, Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Give my love to your dad, and hopefully, things will pick up again soon. And I shall see you hopefully the other side of COVID, if not in Vegas.
That's right. We will meet in Vegas again. Grant, thank you so much, and everybody that's out there. Anybody that needs anything, give me a ring. And peace to everybody. Happy holidays, and we'll make it 2021. Let's go.
Yes. Right. See you later.
Ciao.